What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. We are looking at 7 undrafted, potentially undrafted free agents that you should target in your dynasty leagues. I think for most people, dynasty rookie drafts have come to an end. And, that doesn't mean that the rookies that weren't drafted are completely irrelevant. We've seen it from last year that a guy like Isaiah Pacheco can be undrafted, picked up in waivers sometime in the offseason or during the season, and has a big impact. I'm sure there's multiple cases of that, players like that every single year. So we're looking at 7 guys that you should potentially target in your dynasty leagues, guys that probably went undrafted. However, if they didn't, I understand. And if you haven't done your dynasty rookie draft, maybe you can target these guys in the late 3rd or 4th round. So we're going to get right into it without further ado. So the first guy we're going to talk about is running back Trey McBride. Now, DeWayne McBride, not the tight end Trey McBride. DeWayne McBride from UAB. Now, of all the guys, of the 7 guys that I'm going to talk about today, this guy is probably the most likely guy that was drafted. If he was, I understand. If he wasn't, though, target this guy. You need to target this guy. He was drafted to the Vikings. Now, he was drafted in the 7th round, which isn't great draft capital. We've talked about it before. However, I do think the running backs in this draft class did get pushed down a little bit because there were so many good running backs that were coming out. They seemed to get pushed down a lot. So DeWayne McBride, maybe in another year, could have been like a 5th rounder. We know the situation with Dalvin Cook. They're talking about it's unlikely that he comes back. Now, I still think there is a chance he does come back. However, the chance is too high of him not coming back to leave DeWayne McBride on the free agency list. Alexander Madison is there, but also, Madison's going into his 5th year. We've never seen Madison carry the ball in a season more than 134. That's his highest amount of carries. So we're assuming, we've seen Madison come in for Cook for a game and look good, but that's assuming, right? We don't know if Madison can play the whole season. We don't know what this coaching staff thinks of Madison. He's already going into his 5th year. DeWayne McBride was incredibly productive at UAB. He trailed only Bijan Robinson and Javonte Williams in forced missed tackle percentage at 36%. So this is the history of PFF recording this grade since I believe 2013 or 14. And it's Bijan Robinson, it's Javonte Williams, and then it's DeWayne McBride. Those are the top 3 in forced missed tackle percentage of 36%. The guy has incredible vision and agility, and that makes up for his lack of speed. Now, I think he runs about a 4.52, a 4.53, a low 4.5, which obviously isn't fast, but it isn't slow either. There's numerous guys in the NFL, guys like Nick Chubb and Dalvin Cook, who run in the low 4.5s, and you would never expect that. You would think they run faster than that because they were productive running backs. They have breakaway runs. And it's because they have incredible vision. The vision can make up for the speed. If you see the hole opening before anyone else, you're going to hit the hole first. You're going to have a step on everyone, and your 4.5 speed is going to be fast enough. Now, one thing is, he didn't catch much at UAB. I think he only had like 2 or 3 catches last year in 2022, and maybe like less than 10 in his career. But also, UAB just didn't really throw to their running backs that much. They had a running back. The most catches by a running back last year was 19. So it's not like they had a specific running back that they felt more comfortable throwing the ball to. That wasn't the case, right? They had a running back catch 19 passes. It just wasn't part of their offense. They ran the ball a lot. You can see the stats here: 233 carries, 1,700 plus yards, 19 touchdowns, and it wasn't part of their offense to pass the ball that much to their running backs. A couple other advanced metrics that I like about DeWayne McBride is he was fifth best in PFF run grade last year. He was 2nd in the elusive rating, so breaking tackles, behind only Bijan. And he was actually 1st in 2021. He was right above Bijan in 2021 in elusive rating. And he was 2nd in breakaway percentage. So these are runs of 15 yards or more. What percentage of your runs are 15 or more yards? He was 2nd in breakaway percentage. So The guy has a lot of good advanced stats behind him. He goes to a pretty good spot, I would say, where you have Dalvin Cook potentially gone, and then you have, Alexander Madison, who is it, Ty Warren, I believe. So you don't have a whole lot of competition there. If there's anyone, I've kept saying this over and over and over, that if there's anyone that's going to have a kind of Isaiah Pacheco 2022 impact, it's going to be DeWayne McBride, a 7th-round running back that comes in. He could run for over 5 yards a carry or 4.5 yards a carry plus, run for 900 yards. And, he has an impact. So DeWayne McBride is our first guy on the list. The next guy we're going to talk about. Now, these guys aren't in any particular order. These are whatever maybe positional need that you have, or a guy that maybe you like one over the other. I'm not saying DeWayne McBride should be number one on this list. But the next guy we're going to talk about is a wide receiver, A.T. Perry, out of Wake Forest. Now, he was drafted in the 6th round to the New Orleans Saints. You can see the stats here. 81 catches, almost 1,100 yards and 11 touchdowns, so he had good numbers there. The Saints have a pretty open wide receiver room, in my opinion. You have Chris Olave, and then you have a bunch of question marks. We have Michael Thomas, who hasn't been able to stay healthy for 2 years and hasn't really played much. I know Rashid Shaheed's down there, who looked good, but he's probably better off as a wide receiver 3 rather than a wide receiver 2. The tight end situation is not necessarily that great. You got Foster Moreau, you got Juwan Johnson, good tight ends, but no one that's going to be the main target getter or even the second target getter in that offense. So it's a bunch of question marks there. Marquez Callaway's on Denver. A.T. Perry has good size. He's 6'5", 205. He has a 6'10" wingspan, which is one of the biggest wingspans in this draft class. He's most likely a project receiver. That's kind of what I felt about him when I was scouting him, but I really, really liked him when I was scouting him because he was one of the few receivers outside the top guys, one of the few receivers in the later rounds that you can kind of see developing into an well-rounded X receiver. You can see him developing into a wide receiver too. A lot of these guys that were drafted, the Jalen Hyatts, the Josh Downs, the guys, the TCU receiver that the Chargers drafted, Darius, and I forget his last name. It's slipping out of my head here. But these guys were like one-trick pony type of guys. They had a specific role, deep threat, slot guys. A.T. Perry wasn't like that. To me, he is a guy that could develop into an all-around receiver. He had a 28% target share in college in 2022, which is really, really good. You're kind of looking for these 25+% target shares for these receivers. He ran a 4.47. He had 11-foot 1-inch broad jump, which is well above average. If I've seen some different height measurements, and most places I've seen is 6'5". I have seen like 6'3" and 6'4", but if he is 6'5" and he is 205 pounds, he's one of only 17 guys since 2000 to participate in the draft combine to be 6'5" and run a 4.47 or lower. It's very, very rare to get this size and speed, this height-speed combination, which A.T. Perry has. 14th best receiving grade in 2022, according to PFF. And he had 2.57 yards per route run, which is 23rd in all of college football. So there's some good stats here for A.T. Perry. He has the measurables. He has the height. He has the speed. He can jump out of the roof or out of the building, I guess is the expression. He had a pretty good target share at Wake Forest. And he goes to a pretty good spot in New Orleans. Now, he's a round 6 pick, which is why he's most likely went undrafted. But I still like A.T. Perry, especially if you have like a taxi squad or super large rosters. Throw him on your roster. I don't know how much he's going to do for you this year, but wait and see how he develops. So moving on, we're going to look at a quarterback that I think everyone should be or should have on their roster. It should be on a roster, in my opinion, in dynasty leagues, and that is Houston quarterback, Houston the college, Clayton Tune, who went round 5 to the Arizona Cardinals. Now you see his stats there, put up big numbers at Houston. Part of that is the product of their offense, but over 4,000 yards passing, 40 touchdowns. He can also run the ball, as you see here, 128 carries, 554 yards, and 5 touchdowns. Now, a lot of this for Clayton Tune is a lot of what I like about him is due to potential opportunity he's going to have. He goes to the Cardinals. We're pretty sure, we don't know yet, it is only May 19th, but we're pretty sure that Kyler Murray is going to miss maybe the first month, 6 weeks of the season. We don't know that for sure, so we got to wait and see. But for that reason, Clayton Tune should be on your rosters. I tell this to people all the time. In Dynasty, during the season, if there's a young quarterback that gets a starting chance, you need to pick him up. Always, 100%. If it's a guy like Jacoby Brissett, if it's a guy like Heineke, if it's a guy like Colt McCoy who becomes the starter, I understand maybe not targeting these guys unless you need a quarterback. But if it's a young guy who we don't know anything about, a couple guys that come to mind, Brock Purdy last year. I was one of the only people to put a bid in Brock Purdy when after we learned he was going to be the starter. I was one of the only people to put a bid on him in my Dynasty league. It's crazy to me, right? Brock Purdy was a rookie. He was getting a starting opportunity. We knew nothing about him and how he could play, and look what he turned into. He's probably valued as a late first, early second type of. You can probably get a late first, early second rookie draft pick for him now. That's because I took a chance on him. Jared Stidham was another guy. Jared Stidham. I saw a young guy getting an opportunity. I put a bid in for him. Now, did it work out? Maybe not. He went to a different team. I think he's on the Broncos now, but he did look good for a couple games there. So you need to target these young guys. Clayton Tune's going to have a chance, in my opinion. If you're the Cardinals and Kyler Murray's not ready, it's kind of a win-win situation for you to start Clayton Tune. One, if he's not very good and your team just sucks, well, you kind of go into tank mode and you try and get a top pick for the 2024 NFL draft. If he's good, then you found a hidden gem in the 5th round. You found a quarterback that could be good. It's a win-win situation for me. Why are the Cardinals going to start Colt McCoy or David Blau? Why not give Clayton Tune a chance? He played in 47 games in college, so it's not like he's a raw rookie. He played in almost 50 games, so he has a lot of experience there. He has a really, really good arm. He was clocked at having one of the fastest throws, or the fastest throw of any quarterback at the Senior Bowl. He was tied for first in PFF's passing grade, and he was tied with Bryce Young. He was 3rd best in adjusted completion percentage of 79.5, so almost completing adjusted completion percentage of 80% of his passes. So he's super, super accurate. And he didn't do that with a small dink and dunk type of passing offense. He had a 9.7 ADOT, which is not the highest, but it's also not the lowest. It was tied for 29th in college football. So 9.7 is a solid number. A lot of the guys who had a high adjusted completion percentage, higher than or right around what Clayton Tune had, they had a 7 or a low 8 ADOT, meaning there was a lot more dink and dunks going on. Not the case for Clayton Tune. And again, he has rushing potential. I don't think he's he's not as fast as Lamar Jackson. He's not as big as Josh Allen, but I think he's mobile enough to where he can give you, if he is a starting quarterback, he can give you a solid rushing floor of like 400, maybe like a Daniel Jones. He's not that fast, but he can give you like a 400 or 500 yards rushing, in my opinion. You need to have Clayton Tune on your roster, at least until we know what the status of Kyler is. If it comes out that Kyler is going to start the season, then okay, you can maybe drop Clayton Tune. But until then, hold on to him. Moving on, our 4th guy that we're going to talk about today is a tight end, and that is Brenton Strange from Penn State. Now, he was drafted in the 2nd round to the Jags. This was a bit of a surprise for a lot of people. I don't think a lot of people had Brenton Strange. A lot of the draft experts, I think, had him more as like a day 3 pick, a 4th round pick, 5th round pick. He goes in the 2nd round to the Jags, and my antennas went up, right? Excuse me there. I started to watch a Brenton Strange film. Now, he didn't have a lot of production. You can see that in the stats below here. 32 catches, I spelled catches wrong. 32 catches, 362 yards, 5 touchdowns. That's not that much production, and there's not a whole lot to go with that low amount of catches. However, even though the raw numbers don't look good, 32 catches was actually third most on Penn State. Their leading receiver had 51 catches. They didn't throw the ball a lot. They were a very run-heavy team. So 32 catches, maybe on a more pass-heavy team, can extrapolate that to more like 50 catches. Now, he's a receiving tight end prospect. He's not a blocker. He is not a blocker. He wasn't drafted for his blocking skills. He was drafted for his potential receiving skills. Okay? Again, he goes to Jacksonville. Evan Ingram's there, yes, but that's okay. We don't expect too much from tight ends year one. We kind of have a wash year, right? Which is why maybe you don't draft these guys to the third, fourth round, or you pick them up off of waivers. So he's going to have basically a wash year next year. Evan Ingram's still there. Evan Ingram is there for one more year. He's on a 1-year contract, and then I think they move on from him. Other things to like about him. He's a solid athlete. He can jump pretty well. He has a good vertical and a broad jump. He's good with the ball in his hands. He averaged 7.3 yards after the catch, which was 19th best in college football. Again, doesn't sound great when you say 19th, but remember, college football is like 100-plus teams, close to 200 teams. So 19th best is actually really good. Only had a 3% drop rate, so he's a sure-handed guy who's good with the ball in his hands. That's intriguing to me. He's versatile. He can be used and has been used all over the field, in the backfield, in line, slot, out wide, doesn't matter. Now, the biggest reason why I'm excited for Brenton Strange is Doug Peterson. And here's Doug Peterson's history with tight ends as either an offensive coordinator or a head coach. In 2014, Travis Kelce was tight end 6. Doug Peterson was the offensive coordinator. And that was Travis Kelce's, it was his second year in the league, but he was basically suspended in 2013, his whole rookie year. So that was basically his first year playing, and he was tight end 6. 2015, still with Kansas City, Travis Kelce, tight end 8. 2016, as the head coach of the Eagles, Zach Ertz, tight end 6. 2017, with the Eagles, Zach Ertz, tight end 3. 2018, again, Zach Ertz, tight end 2. 2019, he had Zach Ertz, still head coach of the Eagles. Zach Ertz was tight end 4. And Dallas Goedert, who was second-year player, I believe, but Dallas Goedert was tight end 10. So you had 2 top 10 tight ends. 2020, both Goddard and Ertz missed games. This was Doug Peterson's last year with the Eagles. Goddard and Ertz missed games, but they still combined for 82 catches and 854 yards. 2022, last year, Evan Ingram, tight end 5. You're talking about basically every year that Doug Peterson was either an offensive coordinator or head coach, he had like a top 7 tight end every year. And that trend continued for Jacksonville. Trevor Lawrence likes to use his tight ends. I'm really excited about the Jags and their whole offense. I want Brenton Strange on my team. Moving on. We got, I believe, 3 more. We have Sean Tucker. Sean Tucker from Syracuse. If you look here, Sean Tucker went undrafted to Tampa Bay. Now, I think a lot of the reason for that was kind of these injury concerns that popped up in the offseason that prevented him from participating in the combine. And then he didn't really have like an official pro day, I don't think, or he had a pro day very close to the actual draft day, or he kind of did his own workout. I forget exactly. It was a very strange situation. But it's interesting, these injury concerns, because he never missed a game as a starter at Syracuse for 2 years. So I'm curious of what these injury concerns are. But he was highly productive. In 2022, he had 206 carries, 1,060 rushing yards, 11 touchdowns. He also caught 36 passes for 250 yards and 2 touchdowns. So he was heavily involved in the offense, even more so in 2021. 2021, he had like 1,500 yards in rushing and 300 yards receiving as well. Actually, he accounted for 40% of Syracuse's offense in 2021, which is what you want to see. You want to just see these receivers dominating target share. You want to see these running backs dominating the yardage total, which is what he did. 40% of Syracuse's offense in 2021. Now he goes to Tampa Bay, and you go to a backfield which really isn't too crowded. You got Rachaad White, who is still kind of an unknown. Yeah, he looked good again in the last year, but I don't think we should assume with these guys like Khalil Herbert, Rachaad White, that they're just going to be workhorse guys. I really don't think that's the case. Chase Edmonds is there, but what have we seen from Chase Edmonds lately? Keyshawn Vaughn's still there, but we haven't seen much from him. So the running back room, basically what I'm getting at is pretty open in Tampa Bay. I can see Sean Tucker being basically the guy that runs in between the tackles. He's going to get the rundown. Rachaad White is a little more focused on as like the pass catching guy. Still obviously getting carries, but I wouldn't be surprised. In 2021, in college, Sean Tucker had 1,000+ yards after contact. That was second only to Kenneth Walker. And we saw how good Kenneth Walker was. He's rumored to have 4.3 speed. Again, didn't do the combine, so it's not official, but he's rumored to have 4.3 speed. And if that's true, he's 205 pounds. There's only been 24 running backs to be 205 or heavier and run in the 4.3s since 2000. So he's basically one running back a year comes out that is his size and has that potential speed. If it's true, we don't know for sure. He was 10th in breakaway percentage, so runs over 15+ yards, and 13th in elusive rating in 2021. So he has great numbers. If you just turn on his game film and you watch it, it's very, very impressive. I believe he can be the most talented running back maybe in Tampa Bay, or he can be kind of in a timeshare running back by committee with Rachaad White. So I like Sean Tucker a lot. Moving on, we got two more guys. Puka Nacua, wide receiver from BYU. He went to 5th round to the Rams. You see the stats there, nothing jumping off the board. 48 catches, 625 yards, 5 touchdowns. That led BYU, by the way, and so did he led them, I think, with around 800 yards in 2021 as well. So went 5th round to the Rams. It's a pretty open receiving room. What do you have outside of Cooper Kupp? You got Van Jefferson still there, but I think Van Jefferson has his role as that kind of deep threat field stretcher, third receiver. You have Tutu Atwell still there, Skoranek still there, but just a bunch of question marks. There's really no solid, definitive running back number or wide receiver 2 on the Rams. Okay, someone needs to complement Cooper Kupp there, and it could be Puka Nacua. In 2023, he was 3rd in yards per route run, behind, right above guys like Marvin Harrison Jr., who everyone loves. In 2021, he was 7th. So he put up not just 1 year, 2 years of solid yards per route run. He had a 20% yard share in 2022, 23% passing yard share in 2021. So he was getting 20%, 23% of the receiving yards were going to him. So he kind of dominated the receiving room despite only having, 600, 800 yards receiving. He was 2nd in PFF grade in 2022. And, he can play both on the slots and on the outside. He's a bigger receiver. I believe he's about 6'2". So he's not a small guy. I think he's right around 205, 210 pounds. I just like the opportunity here. And I really like the yards per route run, especially these advanced stats. They're always telling. They tell you so much about the production of a receiver, right? Especially guys. Obviously, it's pretty obvious with guys like Justin Jefferson who are running a lot of routes, catching a lot of passes. But it shines light on maybe these guys that don't run as many routes because the offense just doesn't call for it. It doesn't seem like BYU's offense is calling for a whole lot of passing plays and things like that. So just pulling up some advanced stats here again. Yards per route run, 4 receivers. Looking at 2022, I told you Puka Nacua was 3rd. He's next to guys like Jalen Hyatt, right above guys like Jalen Hyatt, Trey Palmer, Marvin Harrison Jr., Quentin Johnston, Rashee Rice. These are all names that you should know because they were all drafted. 2021, again, he was 7th, right above guys like Sky Moore, Jalen Tolbert, Jamison Williams, right behind guys like Wan'Dale Robinson, Drake London, Treylon Burks, Jackson Smith and Jigba. So it's interesting. It's very, very interesting. You can't deny that those players that I named are solid prospects / players in the NFL. And Puka Nacua is right around them. So if you have a bench spot, if you have a taxi squad, throw him on there. He's on an interesting team. There's opportunity there, and he has some interesting advanced metrics. Now, the last guy we're going to talk about today is Keaton Mitchell from ECU, East Carolina, the Pirates. You can see here he went undrafted to the Ravens. He had huge production in college in 2022, 200 carries, 1,450 yards, 14 touchdowns. He caught 27 passes for 250 yards and another touchdown. So huge production there. Again, he went to the Ravens. There's not a whole lot of competition there. You got J.K. Dobbins. Okay. You got Gus Edwards. You got, I'm forgetting the guy that everyone loves. Oh, I need to look it up. But, you have Gus Edwards there. You have J.K. Dobbins there. Why can't I think of this guy? It's driving me crazy. Hang on, guys. I'm looking it up right now. Justice Hill. And you have Justice Hill there. Can he beat them out? Maybe. I think he's potentially better than Justice Hill and Gus Edwards. Probably not better than J.K. Dobbins, but we know with the Ravens, they use multiple running backs. They rely heavily on the run game. Maybe that changes a little bit this year, a little more focus on the passing, but I still think they're going to use multiple running backs. And this is a dynasty play. Maybe in 2024, Keaton Mitchell is the main guy. We just don't know, right? So some things to like about him. He was 3rd in rushing grade for PFF in 2022, 8th in elusive rating, and he was number 1 in breakaway percentage, meaning he had more percentage of 15-yard runs than any running back in college football, including guys like Bijan Robinson. So he's an explosive guy. He's an elusive guy. And he has he's a little bit smaller of a guy. He's 5'9", 190 pounds. If he can put on some weight, that would be great. But I like Keaton Mitchell, and I like the spot that he fell in. And he was obviously hugely productive. Now, level of competition is a concern for him because he played at ECU, not the best competition you're playing. But take a chance on him. If you have a spot, running backs, if there's gonna be late round guys or undrafted guys that are gonna make an impact, it's gonna be these running backs. So there you have it, guys. That's 7 guys that I think you should be targeting as undrafted free agents. Or if you haven't done your rookie drafts yet, maybe take one of these guys in the 4th round. Again, the list was DeWayne McBride from UAB, A.T. Perry, wide receiver from Wake Forest, Clayton Tune, quarterback from Houston, Brenton Strange, tight end at Penn State, Sean Tucker, running back, Syracuse, Puka Nacua, wide receiver, BYU, and again, Keaton Mitchell, running back from ECU. So there you have it, guys. Again, thank you so much for watching this video if you did. We are at 183 subscribers the last time I checked. We're shooting for 200 by June 15th, which means we have about 26 days to get 17 subscribers. I think we can do it. I appreciate it. Thank you again. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you guys all next time.